All right, we are broadcasting live. Welcome to Phil's First Party Parlay, where we talk all things timely and topical in the insurance restoration industry. I'm Phil Sanoff, trial lawyer with Morgan & Morgan's Insurance Recovery Group. With Morgan & Morgan's Insurance Recovery Group, I have 55 of the most awesome attorney colleagues you could ever want to know. We are in 25 offices, 13 states, all around the country. If you have any problem with any insurance claim, you need to come see us. We can help you wherever you are. You can reach us through our website, forthepeople.com, hit pound LAW from any cell phone, anywhere, or just get me on my personal cell, 713-825-3444. Morgan & Morgan Insurance Recovery Group. Come see us. Joining us tonight on the Parlay is Josh Autry, one of those awesome attorney colleagues. Josh, please hit that magic button and come see us, friend.
Hey, Phil.
All right, there he is. Thanks for being here, man.
My pleasure.
This is quite a timely, ironic topic. Josh, we're going to talk about business interruption insurance claims this evening based on the COVID-19 virus and the shutdowns. For folks that don't know it or don't know Josh had COVID, tested positive a few weeks ago. I got to tell you, brother, we talk a lot on Zoom calls, you and I was pretty worried about you a couple of weeks ago. As you know, we've talked about it. I love you. You look good, but you look pretty peaked there for several days, several of those calls.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we were talking about it just a moment ago. You can't be too careful. I thought I was being careful, but I got it anyway. So yeah, be careful out there. And luckily my symptoms were relatively minor. Just had a little bit of a cough for about a week, but a lot of people get it a lot worse. So yeah, everybody be careful.
Well, grateful for all those people that get better. Grateful for you for sure of getting better. Well, Josh, you know how this works. You've been a guest on here before. I'm a trial lawyer. I believe in the power of three, the magic of three. We like to outline, forecast 3 points to discuss, and then come back and put what we call where I'm from, meat on those bones, and talk about each one as we go. What are the 3 topics on business interruption claims we're going to cover for folks this evening?
Well, first I want to talk about just pure and simple, is there coverage? You know, is this something that insurance companies should be paying? And then second, I want to talk about something about the fact that we're a little bit further along in the process now. So what if you were being shut down again? And what if you've never filed a claim with your insurance company? Is it too late? So those are the 3 topics today.
Fantastic. Thank you for coming on, Josh, and thank you for giving this info to help folks. Now, we're going to get into those topics in just a moment. We've got some attendees participating with us tonight. I want to note that if there are any questions from folks watching, please enter in the chat room and I will read Josh the question to answer any concerns or questions you may have. Or if you hover over your name, there's an electronic raise my hand function and I can unmute you to talk directly with Josh. So as we go, Josh, I'll take breaks. You don't need to worry about that. I'll monitor and bring those in if we have any. But for now, let's go ahead and get started. Outline and give some more details on that first point.
Yeah, absolutely. So just starting back with the original issue of, are these business interruption claims covered? If my business has been shut down because of coronavirus, does the insurance company have to pay that? And we think probably, but obviously it gets tricky. Practically speaking, it's tricky from the beginning because this is a brand new spanking issue. No court has ruled on whether virus-related claims are covered under insurance policies. And the second element is all these insurance policies are different. You know,
well,
so
and you and I are on the business interruption task force, along with some of our additional colleagues with Morgan & Morgan. And we've looked at so many various policies,
right,
some with even different exclusions, some with no exclusions, so on and so forth. So we'll let you outline a little bit for folks on, there are some that we feel like, particularly if they don't, what if they don't have a virus exclusion at all? What if the policy does not have a virus exclusion? How would you feel about someone's ability to get coverage in that instance? We'll go through a few examples.
We have looked, like you said, Phil, at probably hundreds of insurance policies on this specific issue related to coronavirus shutdowns. And we have filed every claim we've seen in court if there has not been a virus exclusion. That's how strongly we feel about this issue. And then we filed a lot even with virus exclusions.
Right.
And we can get into that. But at the core, the issue in these insurance policies generally starts with this. Was there loss of or damage to your property? And we focus on loss of your property. It was shut down. You couldn't use it for its intended purpose. The insurance companies focus on damage to the property. And they say, well, you don't have any swabs showing that you had coronavirus on the walls. You don't have to do any reconstruction of the property. And we focus then on the word or, because again, these properties say loss of or damage to the property. So you don't need damage, you just need loss. And the best example that we are going to be arguing in these cases is theft. Your insurance company, it has to pay your theft claim, even if the thief doesn't damage the car. It just never comes back to you. That car has been lost to you. It still exists in somebody else's possession probably, but it doesn't matter whether it's been damaged or not. It's still out of your hands and you can't use it. And if you're an Uber driver, the time period of the theft has value to it, right? So if it's just a personal vehicle, someone steals it for a week, police find it, it's undamaged, they bring it back to you, the loss is covered, but there just might not be a financial loss. But if you use the vehicle for deliveries or for whatever, for your business,
right,
then you might have an income loss tied to the vehicle. And the amount of time you couldn't use it, you get coverage for that. And this is the same concept. If you were told you can't use your building as a restaurant, as a dentist, a chiropractor, hat sales, whatever your business is, we believe that that is a loss of the property and you couldn't use it for the intended purpose. And that's the argument we're pushing hard. Courts could go either way on this. Courts could get mixed. It could be one of those things where maybe we win these claims in Missouri, but we lose them in California. We don't know because we're breaking new ground, but it's an argument that we feel is very strong and we think we're right on this.
And as you said, we spent so much time parsing each word, going through so many policies. I remember we were looking at so many policies for several weeks without filing any claims that some folks wondered if we were asleep at Market and Morgan. What were we going to do? I remember that specific question. Are you asleep? But so the fact is, we went through, we parsed every word. We parsed the punctuation. There are some policies that don't have the word of, that don't say loss of or damage to. We don't feel as strongly about being confident with some of the provisions that say loss or damage. That could be a little bit trickier, but the loss of or damage to, which is the vast majority of the loss payment provisions, as you say, we feel like we're, particularly depending on the specific exclusions, we feel pretty good about those. And we filed them all.
Right. And then the second element of coverage is these virus exclusions. And I would say first, you may not have one. We've seen a lot of policies that don't have virus exclusions. Right. Second, it may be messy whether you have one or not. We've seen cases where the virus exclusion is mentioned on the declaration page, which is like a table of contents for your policy, but it's not actually in the policy. We've seen other cases where it's in the policy, but it's not on the table of contents. It's not on the
Right.
declaration page. And there's pretty good law that it's got to be in both places. You know, it's got to be listed on the table of contents and it's got to be in the policy itself. And then if it is in both places, how broad is it? How narrow is it? And some of these exclusions are pretty narrow and they're not absolute and you can get around them. And in other cases, we're finding regulatory failures, disclosure failures. So these virus exclusions, generally speaking, are new. In the insurance industry, new for them, not really new for you, because you've had your policy for 10 years or whatever. The virus exclusions came about 14 years ago, right after SARS,
Right.
and
06,
they've
right.
been trickling in since then. And it was sort of in a reaction to SARS that a lot of these insurance companies started developing these virus exclusions. Well, in most states, nearly every state, your insurance policies have to go through a regulatory approval process where your Department of Insurance, or whatever it's called in your particular state, has to approve the premium. And it has to look at it and say, that's a fair premium for the amount of coverage. And every year, when the premium goes up, as it always does,
Always
the
does.
insurance carrier has to justify that, right? And so they always say that it's justified by either an increase in coverage, so we're covering more things than we used to, or it's justified by more exposure. So we're getting more claims, this, that, or the other. But they never really push exclusions when they're coming up for regulatory approval, because that would be a reason for the regulatory agency to say you've got to cut your premium. It's too high.
You're
you know?
covering less, but you're going to pay
Exactly.
more. Want to charge more.
And so this is a perfect example of they either tried to slip it through the regulatory approval process, or they said it's a meaningless exclusion. So they said, well, since only damage is covered, virus isn't damage, it doesn't matter, so we're just adding this extra paper that says virus isn't excluded. Well, that assumes that they're correct, that loss isn't covered, which again, we think they're wrong there.
Right.
And then second, it is a big change to the policy, and it's a big sucking out of coverage. And if you're
Here
losing
we
something
are. They're
you
saying
were
it's not
previously
relevant.
getting,
Right.
the regulatory agency should have been able to factor that in deciding whether it was justified to simultaneously decrease coverage and increase premiums. Because in all of these cases, they're increasing premiums every year. And you see that every single year when you get your new update for your renewal, and you go shop different policies and decide if you want to stay with this company or go with a different one. So that's an issue that we're going to be pushing in a lot of these cases. We've seen several cases where they did not go through the correct regulatory approval process for these exclusions. And then the final issue we're looking at with these exclusions right now is disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
So the virus exclusions, for the most part, are not in the contract itself. They're riders, they're endorsements. It's a piece of paper they tuck in at the back. And in many of these cases, it looks like those pieces of paper were not actually sent with the policy to the policyholder. And, that's an oversight on their part, but practically speaking, what you get in the mail as the policyholder is the contract.
Right.
So they can't say, well, we've got all these other parts of the contract in the folder in our office that you've never seen before. They have to disclose it to you so that you can then say, after looking through it, whether it's reasonable, whether you want to stick with them, whether you want to change to a different insurance company, whether you want to purchase additional coverage. So those are all things that we're looking at in these cases, and we think they're going to be pretty strong issues. And the last angle of that is we're looking at negligence claims against agents for not selling virus coverage. Particularly some businesses are more prone to need virus coverage than others.
Well, in the
you know?
particular business with the agent that is not explaining what their coverage
Right.
is included and what they need, right? We started going into some of those.
So if you're a medical provider, like a doctor's office, and your employees are particularly prone to get exposed to viruses, you
Sure.
would probably want to buy some sort of virus or communicable disease coverage to protect you in case you get an outbreak in the office. And that's the kind of thing your insurance agent should bring up to you. At a minimum, they should bring up a virus exclusion to you. But they should probably point out that you can buy that kind of coverage. And then you've got other businesses that maybe they don't treat viruses, but it's part of their daily lives dealing with people that are sick. And that's childcare, daycare centers deal with sick kids all the time, and they got to worry about that. And so there's types of businesses where it will be important whether the agent offered virus coverage or not. And there may be a claim down that road, even if the exclusion is applicable.
Well, and it's different state by state. And so it
Right.
depends on where you are. Let us take a look. We will take a look and give you advice wherever you are. That's one of the things I always say. We can help you wherever you are. And it, depending on the state, depends on what your relationship is with the agent, whether they advertise as the best agent, best coverage for health clubs, those sorts of things. In certain states, you can get liability on the agent for their advertising.
Right.
They advertise themselves as the best advisor, the best coverage, and then don't fully disclose and talk to you about buying back that type of coverage or what the exclusion is going to do. That could help your claim. The thing that I say most is so many business owners I speak with, have spoken with since this all started, say, oh, my agent told me I had a virus exclusion, so I'm not filing a claim. What would you say to those folks that may not have filed a claim and that may have a virus exclusion about what they should do now? I may be taking you transitioning too quick. If you've got more to
No,
cover.
that's perfect.
Okay, great.
I was ready to move on.
Okay.
So if you have not filed a claim yet, you should still file a claim or bring us in to file a claim for you. In most states, the policies may or may not have a deadline to file a claim. But in most states, to enforce those deadlines, whether it's 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, 1 year, those deadlines in the policy are generally speaking not enforceable unless the insurance company can show prejudice to the insurance company by the delay. And in these cases, they are denying 100% of these claims. They're denying every single virus claim that comes in. It doesn't matter if you have the platinum policy or the bare bones policy, they are denying your claim. It doesn't matter how big your premium was. And you should file the claim even if your agent says it's too late.
Well,
even if you're, go ahead.
No. Even as you were saying about some of the people, if they may not have closed the first time, and now with the new outbreaks and the renewed outbreaks, people are closing again. I didn't mean to step on you there, Josh.
No. And so that's a great transition to my third sort of point in the outline is, what about these new shutdowns? What if you've been shut down again? If you haven't filed a claim at all, you file one claim now for both shutdowns, right? And don't be specific in your claim about which part of the policy you want coverage under. Mm-hmm. So one thing that we see a lot is businesses or their general counsel or whoever will say to the insurance company, give me my civil authority coverage, or I'm submitting a civil authority claim. Now, if you don't know what that is, civil authority is a term of art within a lot of insurance policies that deals with government shutdowns, okay? But in some policies, civil authority coverage is very small. In some policies, civil authority coverage is very big. In some policies, civil authority has a small cap to it. You can only get $10,000. In other policies, civil authority coverage goes up to your whole limit, whether that's $1 million, $5 million, right? But what's more important is, depending on your policy, there may be other ways to get coverage. So you may have dependent property coverage in your policy, which means you get coverage if other businesses you work with are shut down. You may have pure business interruption coverage that doesn't need a government shutdown, that doesn't need civil authority. So like I filed a claim for a brewery. We filed a lawsuit here in Louisville, Kentucky, and we brought the lawsuit under dependent property coverage, under a civil authority coverage, and under the business interruption coverage. We think there's coverage under all three. But going back to my original point, if you file a claim with the insurance company that says, I'm filing a claim for civil authority coverage, they will only look at your civil authority coverage and they won't look at the other parts of your policy. So what you want to do, and what we can do for you if you want us to do it, is file a claim for any coverage available under the policy. This is my loss. I was shut down. I want all coverage available.
It's similar to in Texas, we get so many hail claims and people will file a claim, say, I'm filing a claim for my hail damage, or there's a windstorm involved. They'll say, I'm filing it for my wind damage. But if you have a hail storm, what I sometimes have to go back and file a supplemental claim for folks is we always tell everyone, tell your insurance company, you are filing a claim for all your damages under all coverages, which is even more important in this particular type of situation.
Right. And you just mentioned supplemental claims, which is another wrinkle for these new shutdowns.
Right.
So let's say you've already filed a claim. It's already been denied. Okay. So you filed a claim back in March or April when you were shut down the first time. They immediately denied it, said no coverage. Now you're shut down again in July, or maybe you get shut down in August. Who knows what states are going to do? We're all taking this day by day. Should you file a new claim? We think no, but you should file something. You just shouldn't call it a new claim.
Right.
So we would call it a supplement to the original claim you filed. Okay. So you've already got a claim number with the insurance company. They've already denied your claim. You would use that same claim number. And if you had an adjuster on the original claim that denied it, you go back to that adjuster and you say, to supplement my claim, I've been shut down again by the government on X date. And please let me know of all coverage available for this claim. And they're just going to deny it again.
Ongoing damages, right.
The only reason this matters, or maybe not the only, but the main reason it matters, whether it's one claim or two claims, is how many deductibles they get to charge. And it's just not an issue that we want to concede on the front end. It's going to depend on policy language, whether they can charge one deductible for that shutdown, one deductible for this shutdown. And some policies, they'll be able to do it. Some policies, it'll be one deductible, two deductibles, three deductibles. But that's a bridge we'll cross when we come to it. But we just don't want to title these summer claims as new claims when we talk to the insurance company. And you shouldn't do that either. You should talk about it as an addendum, an additional information about a previous claim, or a supplement to that original claim you already filed.
And Josh, some of these last conversations that you and I have been having have talked in terms of the insured speaking to the insurance company themselves. What about the folks that are going to hear this audio podcast on a platform or going to see the video replay, and those folks say, I'm tired of talking to the insurance company myself. I want that guy to help me. How do we want these folks to be able to get in touch with you, sir?
Well, please contact me, 859-899-8785. I handle all of our claims in the Kentucky and surrounding state region. I'm based out of Lexington, but we've got 55 attorneys, as Phil already said. We handle these these claims all over the country. We'll put you in touch with the person you need to be in touch with. You can also email me. It's J-A-U-T-R-Y, so J Autry at forthepeople.com. That's F-O-R, not the number 4. And just reach out to us, and if you call that number, that go straight to my cell phone. And, you know, we look at these claims all the time, and we're filing these claims on a regular basis. And
I always
we're
say
happy to file
all
a claim
day,
for
every
you.
day. Right, right, right. Well, Josh, it's great having you here. We're running up against it. We're a few minutes away from what our folks tell us are our time limit for these webinars. Anything else before I take us home? I hope I didn't cut you off there. I just knew we were getting up close and wanted to make sure we get all the information in from you.
No, I think we've covered it quite well. And obviously, if you at home, you watch this or on a plane or wherever you're at, you watch this and you got a question, please reach out to us. You know, I don't make you sign a fee agreement to ask me a question. In fact, you know, I'm happy to look at your policy or answer any questions before you sign up. And practically speaking, you know, hey, if you file a claim, they pay it to you, more power to you. I think we haven't seen any cases where that's happened. So in these kinds of cases, we would just say, you might as well go ahead and retain us because they're not paying policyholders. You're going to have to file suit to win these cases.
That's where we are. That's where we are. Josh, I always appreciate it. I'm glad that you look so healthy and feeling so healthy, sound so good.
Glad to be back
Thank
to it.
you for joining us tonight. I didn't take any breaks. We didn't have any questions in the Zoom chat. I haven't seen any electronic hand raising function. So at this point, I'm going to take us home. We appreciate folks joining us for Phil's First Party Parlay, brought to you by Morgan & Morgan Insurance Recovery Group. Josh, you stay well, brother. We'll talk soon. I'm going to take us home.
All right. Thank you, Phil.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot. Thank you, sir.